Hey everybody, this is S. Anthony Thomas. This is the S. Anthony Thomas Show. And as promised, I'm having on my first guest ever. I told you there were going to be guests on this program. And my first guest, I couldn't think of anybody I'd want to talk to more than this man. He's a friend of mine for 25 years. Very funny comedian named Christopher R. Porter. No, not the guy from Last Comic Standing. This Christopher Porter, who goes by Christopher R. Porter, is just as funny, but not as famous yet. Good friend of mine, very funny guy, and we have conversations on the phone because we're buddies, and they're always entertaining and fun, and I figured that, I'd like you to hear one of them because I think that you'll enjoy it, and I'm pretty sure you're going to enjoy it. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stop talking and let you enjoy it. So, are you ready to hear this thing? Of course you are. Let's do it. All right, everybody. I told you I was going to have a guest on this show. Okay, I told you I was going to have a guest on this show. This guy's been a friend of mine for, I'm not going to say how many years because I'm only 27, even though we've been friends for damn near 30 years. I'm only 27. I don't care what this bastard says. Okay. This guy's been a friend of mine. Love this guy like a brother. Yes, my friends. Ladies and gentlemen, good friend of mine, Mr. Chris Porter. Say hello to everybody, Chris.
Thank you. Gotta let him know which Chris Porter I am, though.
By the way, this is not the Chris Porter from Last Comic Standing. I don't know that guy.
Yeah.
You would never hear me going, oh, Chris Porter, the guy I've never met. Love him like a brother. I don't know that guy.
My stage name now is Christopher R. Porter.
You're Christopher R. Porter?
Yeah, it's a sucky stage name, but I did it because in L.A., you want to have a SAG name, and Christopher Porter was taken. And Chris Porter was taken. So,
I can relate to that. I understand. I mean, my name is. My name is Steve Thomas, and I changed my name to S. Anthony Thomas because my name is way too damn common. And also, the artist formerly known as Prince was taken.
It's so funny because I have another friend named Mark Smith.
Oh, good Lord. I'm going to have some kids and I'm just going to name them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's to get it out of the way. Okay. Oh, man.
Name them all the same name, like, what's his name?
Oh, George Foreman?
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord.
What an asshole. What a dicky thing to do. What a egotistical thing to do, I think.
I just want to say for the record, those of us at the S. Anthony Thomas Show do not condone what Chris Porter just said. So, George Foreman, if you decide to beat somebody's ass, remember, he just distinguished himself as Christopher R. Porter. We're going to watch TMZ, and the guy from Last Comic Standing is going to wake up with his ass whipped and not know what the hell happened.
I'll be Cooney. Remember him?
Oh my God!
Get the shit kicked out of him.
For those of you listening, Chris and I met in Los Angeles in the mid '90s. We met outside of the Laugh Factory, and we've been friends ever since. We have met some pretty interesting characters out in Los Angeles because you're a California guy originally.
Yes, I am. I'm from Southern California, but I've lived all over the place. Lived in Seattle, San Francisco, San Diego. Went to school in San Diego and San Francisco, and Seattle, and taught tennis in Tampa, Florida. That's where I started comedy. Actually, is in Florida.
Whoa! I did not know that.
Yeah, where I started. At Ron Bennington's Comedy Scene.
Now I'm familiar with that. I've heard of that.
Yeah, in Clearwater, Florida.
How did you? I mean, because essentially you just traded weather and the omitted humidity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But was the audience different there?
A lot better.
Was the audience different there? Because when you came to LA, the audience is a little unique when it comes to Los Angeles.
I'm having trouble hearing you. What'd you say?
So when you, how was the audience different in Florida than it was for you when you came to Los Angeles?
Oh. Well, when I first started started in Florida, I don't really know how I answer that different because I was scared shitless because this is just the first couple months of me doing comedy. But I actually got, like beginner's luck. I took a class, and at the end of the 6 weeks you perform, and I had a great set. It took me like a half a bottle of wine, but I had a great set. And then for the next 3 months, I just ate
it. For anybody out there that's ever tried comedy, the first year is essentially the world is hazing you. Because you really don't know the techniques yet. So, you're getting a butt whooping the entire first year. Even though you have great sets, there's going to be those sets that sneak in and beat you down and make you wonder, why am I doing this?
You're just getting used to being up there, being on the stage. And I remember I was kind of nervous about how to use the mic. And I remember talking into the mic and talking way too loud, and you don't know how to use the mic. You don't know, how to stand or, it's a very foreign feeling. I came from acting. I was an actor at San Diego State, and it's funny because my comedy teacher, a guy named James Vernon, very funny guy. He would say, well, you got to get rid of the acting because it was like there was a fourth wall there, and in stand-up you want to break that fourth wall and really communicate with the crowd. So it's entirely different than acting. Yeah. But I have a good story to tell you. Maybe this is the right time, Steve.
Mm-hmm. I would think that this would be the right time. Yes.
I took that class in Florida. The first, right when I was leaving Florida, I took it with this guy James Vernon, this black guy who was really, really funny, and he was a heroin addict. Actually, turned out to be, and that's what he told me. Stuff, but it was very cool because, like, about 12 years later, I came back to Clearwater, and I was featuring, and he was doing a guest set that night, and I hadn't seen him in all those years, and he didn't know whether I continued with comedy or not, and it was pretty cool, and I killed that night. The night before I ate it, but luckily he was there on the night that I killed it, so it was, that was very cool, actually.
I like the way you completely glossed over the heroin part. I think it's like, I'm sitting there going, he goes, I got a really cool story to tell you. As I did comedy in Florida. I know a guy that actually ate alligator testicles, and he kicked his mom down the steps. And then I had cornflakes. What the hell is that?
Got me hooked on heroin for a little while, but no, he didn't. But I just remember him saying that for some reason, and it was an interesting. I don't know. He was an interesting guy, I don't want him to just be known for heroin use. He was a very good comic. He was what we mostly went over was joke writing in the class.
Mm-hmm.
How to write a joke, and because you don't know when you first start, you don't know shit. You don't know, that's one thing I do notice now is a lot of comics, they just go out there and they don't have anything in mind when they go out there. It's like a therapy session. In an open mic, at least. In an open mic, you should be trying to work on some material.
You would think. Remember the old alternative comedy back in the 90s?
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. The alternative is not having any jokes.
Because the funny thing about it is, just like anything else, when someone starts something, like the first 5 or 6 people that were doing alternative comedy were just interesting, unique human beings who are incredibly funny comics who didn't fit into the mold, which was fine. The next 900 of them were people who weren't as good as they were, trying to do exactly the same thing. It's like if someone watches a tape of Michael Jordan playing basketball or LeBron James playing basketball, and they're not good at basketball, and then they try to play basketball, and you're going, yes, I know you're wearing a shirt that says Jordan on the back of it, but you're not Michael Jordan. It's like, so you might want to calm down over there, Jack. Because I remember so we used to play coffee houses. I remember that, and I used to sit in the back, watch people on stage. Here's the thing: if you have 5 minutes allotted, it's a respect thing to do your 5 minutes. If you are sucking so badly that you are physically removing people from the audience with your awfulness, get off.
Yeah.
How many times you go to a coffee house and there's 17 people there and you're going, oh my God, there's 16 more people there than last night. This is great. How you guys doing tonight? Let me get these notes out real quick. No, that's not it. Hold on. It's 5 minutes of that.
I like people who say, how are you doing tonight?
Oh God. I just couldn't take that crap.
Once in a while, I actually say that, and I don't like it when I say that.
Your entire act is so unbelievably weird. You can it's not a problem if you say that. You understand what I'm saying?
You think my act is weird?
By the way, for those of you listening, Chris and I have been friends for 3 decades almost, so it's okay for me to say this crap. I've actually stayed in this house a couple times. It was a couple of weeks before I moved back to New Jersey. So it's okay for me to say that, yes, you're a very weird man. Your act is even weirder. Still love you, but you're weird as hell. And I'm equally weird, but I hide it better than you do. Now I want to get back to you in Florida, because I didn't know, I didn't remember that you had gone to Florida. But what got you from Florida back to California? I know this is your home. Did you come home because it was your home, or was it for comedy?
I came home because I didn't like Florida. I'm glad I went there, and it was interesting, but I didn't find the people there very intellectually curious. Let's put it that way.
It's pretty interesting that we're recording this and you're saying this the day after the election. And so I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to go any further with that.
There's still something up for grabs in Florida today. Something, I think a senator or something, a president maybe. I don't know.
Like I said, moving on.
Yeah. I started in Florida. I was an actor first at San Diego State, and that helped me somewhat. Go to stand up, but it doesn't really help that much, to be honest, because as an actor, you can kind of hide, in your roles. As a stand up, you can't hide at all.
This is true. When I took some acting classes back in the day, I took some workshops and things of that nature, and I used the Bruce Lee philosophy: absorb what is useful, disregard which is useless. There was about of the 50,000 things I was taught, about 10% were applicable to comedy. Right. Everything else had nothing to do with stand-up comedy. And but those things that I did learn, some of them are things I could actually teach someone else, and some of them are things that little tiny things that you pick up subconsciously that actually enhance the stand-up. And I was glad I did that, but I wish there was a class that just taught that 10%. I just want that. The rest of it, I don't need all of that. You know?
And you know, and I remember taking improv classes, and they helped.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing prepares you for stand-up, like just doing stand-up. You know, because you really learn little things by doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
You also learn how to become tough, because it is really.
What's that?
You learn how to become tough because bombing is ridiculously brutal.
It's ridiculous.
It's literally it's a non-violent public flogging. You know,
it hurts. I would rather have physical pain than some of the bombings that I've had where it hurt so much mentally.
Yeah.
But I remember being in the middle of Texas, and I didn't have a good set, and you're by yourself. That's another thing. You're by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I remember calling my friend, another comic, and I remember he kind of talked me off the ledge.
Mm-hmm.
You know, his name was Phil, the security guard. He actually was a very funny man.
Oh, you remember your last call to me?
What's that?
You remember that last call to me about that kind of thing? Casino?
What'd you say?
Remember that last call to me about something similar, that casino gig?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you helped me get off the edge.
Yeah, because had you played a lot of casinos before that?
It's
Have you played a lot of casinos before that?
Yes, I have. But this one particular night, they were not in a good mood, and sometimes you can just get a crowd that, you know, usually you get like a crowd that, you know, some of them like you and some of them don't, because not everybody, they're not there to see you. You've arrived, and they don't know who the hell you are unless you're a big star.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully you can win them over and everything, but sometimes the whole crowd is not your crowd, and it can get ugly. And sometimes the whole crowd can be your crowd, and it could be the height of, you know, it's fantastic. That's the things that it's like the Godfather, you know, where, you know, they're pulling me back in again, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's because I remember reading who was the comic? Famous comic, just saying that how brutal bombing was. He'd rather experience anything besides Robert Klein.
Mm-hmm. Oh, legend! Yeah.
And you know, even Steve Martin, he says that's why he quit, because it was a lot of stress.
It's a beating. It's a beating,
Yeah.
and because the thing is, when people see comics, most of the time, all you see is, you know, their specials on HBO or Showtime or Netflix. They're not going to show the parts that sucked.
No.
You know,
No.
They're not going to go, Lay's famous comic bombing his ass off.
Yeah.
They're not going to show that, and nobody knows what it's hard to explain to people that haven't done it. What it feels is, I still remember. I'm fortunate that I don't have a lot of those. You know,
Yeah.
but but the thing is, because it didn't happen that often, thank God, I remember every single second
Yeah.
of every one of them. And I remember one that I literally I was a kid, and I came back. I was playing a club called the Comedy Factory Outlet. No, I'm sorry. I had the Comedy Works. That was the first place I played in Philadelphia. And I was riding the subway home, and I had recorded it. So, and at that point, and it's always a good idea to record if you're a comic, obviously. But the bad part about it was a 25-minute ride home, and which gave me just enough time to listen to my set 3 times so I could relive it 3 times on the way home. And at that point in my career, I wasn't getting paid yet. But in addition to that, I was only able to get on stage once a week. So I had to wait another week to redeem myself. And I listened to that set. I swear to God, I'm not even kidding. This sounds, maybe I'm exaggerating. I literally listened to that set 250 something times.
Why? If it was bad?
Yeah. Well, keep in mind, I was 17 years old.
That's not good for your soul.
The funny thing about it was so bad that right around the middle of the week, I started laughing at it. I'm like, I don't suck that bad.
Right.
I'm like, wait a second. The 10 sets before that, I was kicking ass. There's one set I bombed and the next week it was fine. But that was the longest ride home, the longest week. Everything I did during that week, working at my little real job and hanging out with my friends and doing all errands or whatever the hell, the whole time in the back of my mind, there was this fog like, dude, you sucked.
Yeah. You feel very naked. You feel like, I saw a kicker in the NFL this week miss like 3. He missed an extra point and a bunch of field goals, and you could see he just wanted to hide.
I think that's pretty much the closest that comes to us. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like we switch when we bomb our brains off. We're a kicker that misses a field goal in the playoffs.
Yeah.
When you kill your Tom Brady, in the Super Bowl, except for that last one that he lost. Ha ha ha.
I agree. I hate Tom Brady.
Nothing personal, Tom, but you beat my team in the Super Bowl and they came back and beat your ass the next time. That's all I got to say. F him. Moving on.
Yeah. He should not be that good looking.
I learned to live with it. You know what I mean? I'm looking in the mirror. I'm looking in the mirror right now. Hold on for a minute. You can keep talking to you. Talk to the audience. Hold on a second. Me. Woo! Okay, back to you.
It's hard, Steve, when you're that good looking.
I know. Like I said, I've gotten used to it. I've learned to accept it.
How I do it. I don't know how we both do it.
Stop trying to get on it, Chris. I'm trying to kiss my own ass right here. Get out of here. Yeah. Next time you're on the podcast, we will talk about your looks, but right now it's me, damn it. What I wanted to know is, of all the comics that I've met, okay, I would say obviously I know 16 or 17 gazillion comedians.
Right.
And virtually, I'd say 95% of them, I can find a bunch of other dudes who do an act similar to theirs. It's not the same. Right. You can tell the difference, but it's not the same. But there's like 2 or 3 people that I know that do an act, and I don't have a match for them. Someone who does stuff just like that. One of them, of course, is you. Because
I don't know whether that's good or bad.
Well, it's actually a very good thing. Because like a lot of times, well, you know how it is in the industry, man. It's like a lot of times it's a good thing when you finally bust through. Yeah. It's annoying because before, a lot of the times, well, you see, here's the thing. The people in the industry are very conservative, not politically conservative, but conservative so far as they're so scared to lose their jobs that they keep firing down the paved path already. The path that's already paved. They keep following that, so they keep copying themselves. Eventually, a unique person breaks through. The funny thing about it is, you break through, and 3 years after you do it, there'll be 16 of you. There'll be 16 dudes that will be copying you. They'll be lying and trying to copy your life story. Oh, I know. I heard, we had Christopher Robert on, and we had Robert Christopher on, and we had him on, and he used to be a tennis instructor before he got a sitcom. But what about you? Yeah, I also, I know you was a tennis instructor. I was a high lie instructor. And I started out in northern Florida. Yeah. And they'll just copy the crap out of you. And but that's the good thing about it, because now you don't have anybody that's doing what you're doing. And
well, that's good. It's good and bad. Sometimes I wish I had a different act. Sometimes I wish that I was hackier in a way, because it's like lowest common denominator keeps you. More people can relate to lowest common denominator than someone who's unique, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So
easily digestible bites.
Yeah. Sometimes it's frustrating because you it's not like I try to be different. It's just I guess I am, but then you'll see someone really hacky doing well, and you're like, oh, maybe I should be hackier.
We'll be back right after this short message. And now, back to the show.
Or write a little bit different. I do little vignettes, I guess. And it's. I wish I. Nowadays, it seems like it's now they want a story in your act, like a little story. And mine's more observational, but fantastical observation. If that makes any sense.
Yes. By the way, podcast audience, he's explaining that to you. I've seen his act, so I know exactly what he's talking about. I got news for you. His hanging out with him in real life, he's observational with Flights of Fancy also. So let's just get it ain't just for the stage, people. So so how is LA comedy wise? I haven't been there since like 2000.
It's good. There's a lot of places to go up. There's a lot of shows, a lot of open mics. I'd say the comedy scene's pretty good, but a lot of the shows are real big names and stuff, so it's a little tough that way. Like in Florida, or say Seattle, you can get on stage a lot more, like doing it in a lot more shows, because there's less comics and there's not as big a comics. LA is a great place to come if you're already there on the verge. So it's okay. I've always heard about New York being the best and everything, for stand-up, because you can get in so many sets. So.
Yeah, the clubs are kind of closer together. California is so physically big, you can't do 6 sites a night. You can't do 6 sets. You can't do 6-7 sets a night in Los Angeles.
No.
It's just too big. It's too big and wide and expansive. You physically can't do it. Even without traffic, you still can't do it.
Yeah. Although the train now, there's a train that goes all the way from Santa Monica to LA and all over the place now.
Whoa. So you mean if I was still living there, I could have literally caught a train to your house?
Yes. Pretty much. Now you get off the train, and then you get on a scooter. Is there a lot of scooters there in Philly?
Well, in the Philly, they have. I'm in New Jersey, by the way. They have
scooters and stuff in there.
They have the bikes.
Oh, the bikes. Okay.
Yeah, they have the bikes. Yeah, they have the bikes, and you pay. I think you pay by the hour for the bikes.
Yeah.
Put in your credit card or something, because we don't have. Transportation is completely changing now. I mean, there's so many scooters
Where, but it's just making people even more obese. now they have an excuse not to walk anywhere. You know.
Yeah, that's probably why they chose bikes here. Like, get your fat ass on this bike. He's trying to get that scooter. Get on this bike, big boy. Get the pedaling. That's why I was surprised when you said scooters. But then again, that area is so huge.
These are electric scooters.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah.
Oh,
no. These are electric scooters, and they're everywhere. They're revolutionizing transportation in Los Angeles.
And it's basically
actually pretty amazing.
Yeah, what's amazing is the fact that Florida followed you. They're gonna have a bunch of super fat people riding around scooters, eating dinner at 4:00 at night. I have got to see this, man. I got to see that. I can't. Oh, Jesus. I went on Google Maps and looked at my old neighborhood. And here's the funny thing. Remember the apartment I was living in before I moved back? It's still there.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing left, because they put the place where they have the Oscars, and it literally stops right at my old apartment, which means had I stayed there, actually I would have never stayed. I would have moved to a better place. But had I stayed there, I would have still had that apartment, which was weird.
Yeah.
But I didn't recognize Hollywood at all when I looked at it. It didn't have it was so, it had a little bit of it was a little grimy around the edges. Okay.
Yeah.
You could catch a behind whooping if you turned the wrong corner.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a little menacing, but but because I lived there, it was like big. It was like Hollywood was my briar patch. Like, I knew no one was going to do anything to me because they all knew me.
Yeah.
But you still knew.
It's still grimy, and if you've never been to Hollywood, you'd go, oh man, this is it. You know, but where the Oscars are, you know, Hollywood and Highland is nice.
Mm-hmm. That's where I live. Remember, I live right there.
I remember.
And so, I mean, I looked at it and I went, what the hell is this? I went on Google Maps and I just went right down I said, let me go to Hollywood and Highland. And I said, okay, the McDonald's is still there. I don't think that McDonald's, if you drop a bomb on Hollywood, that McDonald's will still be sitting right at Hollywood and Highland. I mean, it literally, if you can't make money at that every time I lived right down the block from there. And no matter what time I walked into that damn McDonald's, there was 900 people in there. Yeah. If you can't make money in that McDonald's, they should literally just beat you up and put you in a trash can and roll you down the street.
Yeah, there's a Starbucks off of La Brea and Sunset that just it's actually Hollywood's gotten better. It's gotten a little bit nicer. They've tried to get it looking nicer, you know.
Yeah, when I left, they were doing they had this group, I think it was like retired off-duty cops called the Green Team, I think, and they were just walking around cleaning up Hollywood, because Hollywood at the time, I'm telling you, ooh.
Yeah,
I mean,
a little bit dangerous.
Yeah, there was. This is not a joke. There was a sign across the street. That was a sign that went from building to building. You know, normally it has, happy holidays or something like that. There was a sign across the street that said, "You are being videotaped. Do not sell drugs here." And that was one of the first things I saw when I got there. I was like, oh, good Lord. I thought I left this. I go 3,000 miles and I got the same crap that I just left.
Well, I've never heard of that. Really?
It was hilarious. If there were cell phones back then, I'd have pictures of it. But me and my friends that I met when I got out there, we looked at, I said, nobody believed me. I said, all right. I walked them out the back of my apartment, walked them across the street. I said, look up. And they were like, oh, good Lord. And it was just the funniest thing, because it was the first time I was actually. The funny thing about it was, even though it was a little bit dangerous, it really wasn't as dangerous as some of the neighborhoods I used to hang out in when I was younger. So I felt at home. The only difference was the murderers, killers, and robbers, and drug dealers, and lions and tigers and bears, oh my, on the East Coast knew me. So they left me alone. See, back then, the criminals, if you were somebody that was a good athlete or an artist or an entertainer or some other thing that set you apart from people, they left you alone.
Right.
You know, they'll be like, no, don't leave him alone. He ain't with that. And I was like, man, I don't want to be not part of none of that crap. Leave me alone. They're like, yeah, he's the funny man. He's the comedy man. Yeah, leave him alone. What about that guy over there? Oh, he's not funny. Get him. sorry, people that don't have
it's funny because even thugs have like a heart, or not really a heart. It's almost like they're living through you, you know, for a little bit. You know, that, you know, you're exactly right, though.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. You know,
and you have to. The bad part about it is, and I have always had no problem just walking up to people and telling stuff, because I did a show. I'm not going to say where because I don't want to identify anyone, but a bunch of the hardcore dudes knew, saw my name in the paper and they came to the show. And somebody was, you know, when people heckle you, but they're not really heckling you, they're just really enthusiastic about the show.
Yeah.
Okay. And they didn't know that was a thing. So he's doing it, and it was no problem. You know, it's 400 something people there. Great. Everything's great. I go out in the parking lot and there's 6 dudes around this guy. Yo, man, you heckled our boy, man. I'm like, oh God. I had to roll up. I'm like, no, he's fine. Look, guys, never come to a show again. No offense. I appreciate you. Never. I had to have conversations like that back in the day all the time, because the dudes in the neighborhood knew what I did and they would come to shows, and then it was, I was like, no, never come to see me again. No offense. Much love to y'all, but y'all gonna have to just, stay away from me. Okay. We can respect that. We can respect that.
When they come up to you and they say, wasn't that great what I did? Didn't it help you? Didn't it help the show? No, it didn't help the show. You're an idiot. You're a moron.
Yeah, unfortunately, they never actually cornered one of those guys, because I would have walked up and going, listen, I was going to stop y'all from beating this dude down, but he's one of them guys I don't like. Get him.
Yeah.
Oh man! Oh, I gotta ask you this, because I'm glad you're here for this reason, I'm glad we're recording this, because I wanted to find out why. And now I'm always curious about people's, origin stories regarding whatever kind of art they're a practitioner of. I always wondered when and why. When did you know, and why did you start?
I think I started. I've thought about this before. I started as a defense mechanism against my dad. My dad was an alcoholic, and it was almost like I could get back at him, like hit and move, and get away with it, because he wasn't like the type of guy that he would get befuddled, even though he would try to hurt you, like being sadistic. But then he didn't know how to handle you with humor and stuff. And I think I got back at him that way. And I handled a lot of dysfunction with my humor, because, my dad was an alcoholic. My mom was a compulsive gambler. And so it was, and my brother was always in trouble, my twin brother, who died like 14 years ago of cancer. But he was always in trouble, and it was like there's constant dysfunction around you, and I think it was the way that he helped you cope, through your sense of humor, and that and tennis. I'm a tennis instructor, a tennis player,
you get to a high level at both art forms too. You won. You became a really good comic, and also you won awards as tennis.
I did. I was a good player. I am. It's weird because as comics, I don't think we congratulate ourselves enough for what we're doing.
I agree with you. Could you hold on for a minute?
Yeah.
I'm incredible. Gotta be one of the funniest human beings that's ever is, or will ever walk the earth. My podcasts are both popular, and I'm a genius at both of those things. I'm a genius podcaster, genius comedian. I'm good looking. My junk's incredible. Yeah. Okay, now to you.
I'm all right. Catch me next week. It just depends on the week. It depends on the week. It's
okay. Well, at least tell the people about your junk.
Well,
you know what? We'll say. We'll save that for the next. We'll save that for when you come back. We'll save that for when you come back.
I'm Irish, so you know.
That's too bad. No, anyway. By the way, for those of you that are listening to the podcast, 17.5% of my friends are Irish, and 5% of the women I've had sex with were Irish, so I can make that joke. Thank you. Anyway, but it's really interesting because you were talking about your father and essentially the soil that you grew up in, and it's really weird. Is everybody has. Well, I should say a lot of people have something similar. Maybe not as, a triple whammy like you had, but there's something going on with people. Because I see comics. Sometimes you have people that have, a dysfunction that they have to fight through, and the art is a way to get them through that, and also a way to express themselves. In your case, and then but every once in a while you see somebody like Jerry Seinfeld.
Jamie Masada at the Laugh Factory. They had their own therapist there.
Yeah, the therapist at the Laugh Factory?
Yeah, seriously. That for the comics. This was like, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. I remember that.
Oh, I missed that. I was long gone by then.
Yeah. But
listen, Chris, listen to me. Let me tell you something, buddy. You're very good on the stage, buddy. I like the jokes. I like the thing you did with the hat, very good. You come back in 3 weeks for the stage, but you will come back every week for the therapy.
No, it was right after, it was a famous comic killed himself.
You mean back in the day?
Like 10 years ago.
10 years ago?
Yeah, probably 10 years ago. He's a very famous comic. He's a white guy.
You're not the only white guy I know, buddy.
What was his name? Anyway, it doesn't matter. But
you're not talking about Robin Williams, are you?
It was like a couple comics that had killed themselves at that time, and decided to get a therapist. And I don't know if he still has it, but
hopefully. I mean, it's really interesting, and I think it's a good thing to have resources for people that may not have access to them, or resources that are available to people that wouldn't even, think about going to therapy. I guarantee you helped somebody.
Yeah.
Or that's really, make somebody realize that therapy is something that they can do. So maybe they'll go and do it on their own. But I think that's a pretty good thing, actually.
Could have helped the guy that killed 12 people yesterday in Thousand Oaks. Just, not to bring this down.
Oh no! Well, no, not necessarily, because like I said, that's your stomping grounds now, and that's my old stomping grounds. So. When I hear those things, like, just like when there's an earthquake there or something like that, even though I haven't been there since 2000, there's still a part of me there. That's still part of my heart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when I heard that, I was like, oh, and I felt horrible. I would have felt horrible even if it wasn't some place that I didn't love.
Were you here for the earthquake? for Northridge?
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't here yet. I was still in Florida.
Punk. Excuse me.
Pretty incredible.
It was the most amazing thing I had ever seen in my life because it happened in '94, and it was 4:30 in the morning. I was living in the Vine Lodge Hotel up Hollywood Boulevard, I think, right above the Capitol Records building. And I was going to the bathroom, and even though I'd never been in an earthquake, you now know it's an earthquake, mainly because the ground is throwing you in the air.
Right? Oh, really? Was that powerful? It was throwing you in the air.
It threw, it threw, and also you can see the television on the wall shaking like it's waving at you.
Wow.
And then it only lasted for a few seconds, but it was so, I mean, I never heard, to this day, I've never heard anything that loud in my life.
Yeah, that's what my sister said.
And then you walk outside, and keep in mind, I had been in Hollywood for a while now, so I was starting to feel like it was my home. And when you live in a place, when you see the buildings and the stores that you're used to going to and the landmarks, they're burned into your mind as this is my home now. The next morning you walk outside and it's obliterated. And that's a weird feeling to, you know.
So you saw buildings collapse and stuff like that?
I saw houses in the middle of the road. I saw cars upside down. I saw chunks of highway gone. I saw walls smashed all over the place. The place I worked wasn't physically able to open. It was pretty bad.
Wow.
And it stayed that way for a long time.
Downtown LA was that bad. I knew Northridge in the Valley was bad.
Northridge was blasted. I mean, Northridge was the epicenter. Hollywood got hit hard.
The complex is completely collapsing.
Yeah, I mean, just moving around Los Angeles in that area at that time for the next couple of years, it took a while for everybody to feel normal because after you have a major earthquake, you usually wind up with 200 or 300 aftershocks.
Yeah.
So the first 50 of those, for someone who wasn't used to earthquakes, like the people out there have had all experienced them before, or something like them, or smaller earthquakes, you think the next time you feel the ground moving that here it comes again.
Yeah. But
after the first 50 or so, you realize you're now an LA guy because I'm sitting there with my friends. We're at a coffee house, like a diner type place up the road, up Hollywood Boulevard, between Hollywood and Vine, Hollywood and Highland, way up closer to Highland. And right next there, a little bit below where the McDonald's was. Whatever that place is, not there now, by the way. And we're sitting there, and there's another aftershock, and we all just lifted our cups off the table and watched people. And we just watched people from like Iowa and Nebraska dive on the floor, yelling for Jesus, and we're like, "It's fine."
That's me. I am a coward in an earthquake. I'm a coward anyway, but my friend Dan, another comic, he got on because there was, and I pushed him out of the way to get to the door.
you George Costanza him. You give him the George Costanza treatment. Get out of here! I'm sitting there going, where you're running, it's the ground that's the problem. Unless you can flap your arms and start flying, it ain't gonna help you any.
Yeah, I know. And I live upstairs. I have to go down the stairs, and
what would have been really funny is if you walked out the room running in your drawers, and it was just two dudes shaking the ground. Got him. Fooled you, sucker. Now, I want to. You told about your family and how you start. I want to know what made you pick the microphone up for the first time. That's what I want to know. That I know why you started doing comedy. Why'd you pick up the microphone?
My sister, I'd always talked about doing something in comedy, but I didn't know what. I just liked comedy, and I'd always thought about it. And my sister Lynn, I was living with her in Florida. She's a reporter, and she said, "Why don't you call up these comedy clubs and see if they have classes?" I was like, "Classes? They don't have classes. How to do stand up?" And then I called one up and they had a class, and that was pretty much it. I mean, kind of forced me to do it, and like you said, people have no idea what balls it takes. The first year, well, I mean, even now it takes balls, but I mean, the first year is just terrifying. Terrifying.
Yeah. Well, keep in mind, is like I got 33 years in. You probably got close to 30 years in, right?
Yeah.
So it's like we already know the techniques already. You know what I mean? All it is at this point is new material memorization. That's all we have to worry about. Write it, remember it. You don't have to learn how to do stand up. But when you have to learn, because at the end it's like, learn how to do it. And write material and memorize it and be able to do it when there's people looking at you as if to say, prove it to me, loser.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's little things that you learn. I remember learning stuff on the road, like about little like tags that push along the next joke.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, they in sales they call that a yes momentum. You know, it's like you move, everything momentum moves to the next piece, like Lego blocks.
Yeah.
And those are the thing is, once you have to learn to do that when you move out of your home area. I was teaching a comedy class maybe 7 or 8 years ago, and I was trying to explain it to the people in the class that when you rehearse your act and you memorize your act and you go over your notes, you're not doing that for the 90% of the time you go up there and it works perfectly. All of that is for the 10% of the time where they make you work. And it's really for the 2% of the time where you have to stick your comedic hand down their throat and drag the laugh out of them. That's what the rehearsal's for. Because a lot of times you go, why am I rehearsing this crap? I already know this back and forth. I've been doing this act for 3 months. I don't need to do that. Then you show up at a casino. Then you show up at a bar. Then you show up at a comedy club where the person before you, your opening act or your feature, bombs his or her behind off or pisses off the crowd. And you got to be up there for 45 to 60 minutes. And this is your first time in this place, or this is the first time you work for this booker, and you have no excuses. You have to fill the time. That's what the rehearsal's for. And you learn that on the road, sometimes the hard way. Sometimes, because that's the worst. Bombing on the road is horrible.
Your 45 minutes that you thought you had 45 minutes goes down to 17 minutes.
That is another thing. You
said everything so fast.
I used to tell people in the comedy class before, I remember a guy goes, yo man, Mr. S, I got like half an hour of good solid stuff, man. I want you to watch my half an hour. And I'm looking at the kid and I know he's been doing it like a year. So I'm going, okay, you have 12 minutes, dude. Is what I'm saying in my head. And I watched him go on stage at first show, smoked him, no problem. But there was one of those crowds where it's like, what time is it? Yeah, time. One of those. Right. The next crowd was fine. It was a common kind of audience where once you break them, they'll laugh like the first audience I just described. But you have to break them down first. He didn't know how to do that yet, and he didn't realize that if he just toughed it out for 8 or 9 minutes and just keep going, they would have given him what he needed. But I'm telling you, he thought he had 30. He had 13 minutes.
Yeah, I did that in Las Cruces, New Mexico. I remember going there, and it was like a big, like a dance club place, and it was comedy night there, and there was a lot of people, and I remember just being so tight that I thought I had a half an hour, and it went down to 17 minutes. Luckily, the headliner ahead of me had a lot of time, and the booker was like, hey man, I'm just glad he was just glad that I made it there. Las Cruces, New Mexico.
Now, I just want to say this to the audience. If there's any comics out there listening to this, because I don't know who's listening to this. I mean, no matter what country you're in, you know, this applies if you're in Australia, if you're in Canada, if you're in the UK, because I know I got listeners there. If you're doing stand-up, this is something I told my comedy classes. And this is one thing that I would always tell young comics right before they start going on the road. Time your material with no laughs in it.
Yeah.
Time your material with no laugh breaks. And do your act in your room, in your office, again and again and again and again and again. That way, even if the audience blows, you can still do your 30 minutes in the feature spot. The booker will look at you, and any real booker will know, they know their clubs, and they know that sometimes you'll run across those audiences. If you do your job, they won't fire you. They'll give you another crack at it.
Yeah. And
I learned that really quickly, because that was me. I'm kind of OCD about my act anyway. So, so, you know, by the time anybody sees me do the real act, you could walk into that room and just start pimp slapping audience members, and it will not throw me off.
Yeah.
You know, because I've rehearsed it so hard and so often, and you know, and that's the groove, man. That's basically how. That's one of the best things that's one of the best things I stumbled across as a teenager. That's worked well for me.
Well, then you can get off your set because you know where your set is, and you know, I even try to, if I'm getting ready for the road, I'll point to somewhere in my act. I have it written down. I point to a certain point in my act, and then I have to say what's before that and what's after that. And then point to another spot. What's before that and after that? Because you'll get lost. Because you'll get off track. You'll be talking to the crowd, and then you'll have to get back to your material, or you'll have to segue into something else.
You do crowd work now?
Not very much, but you know, so.
I was going to ask.
Actually, I'm okay with it, but
because
I'm not.
You're not turning into.
S. Anthony Thomas is a fantastic. He works great with the crowd. You're a great riffer. You do awesome. You're very relaxed.
You're just saying that so I don't edit you out of the show, aren't you?
No, you're very, very relaxed on stage. I wish I was as relaxed as you.
I really appreciate that. Okay, now I just want to let you know, I wish I could play tennis as well as you, Chris. I'm gonna let you know that right now. And I know that will never happen in life. It's like I can play other sports, but for some reason, if you hand me a tennis racket, I look like somebody should go, "Sir, hand me that. Give me that. Give me that, sir. Give me that."
No, I remember watching you when we first met, and I remember being with my ex-girlfriend, and
I remember her.
I was talking with her, and I was like, "Well, I kind of wish I could be as relaxed as Steve. You weren't known as S then. You were Steve.
You know what the
crap.
You know what's the funniest thing is? Nobody calls me Steve.
Nobody.
I've been S. Anthony Thomas for so long now that I get people now call me S. Anthony, or some jackasses call me Sat. And I'm going, yeah, why don't you just stick with the S of the S. Anthony, please? Forget that Sat crap. But remember what I just said before about the rehearsal? It's like I practice that act so damn often that when I walk on that stage, I just slide it out.
Yeah.
It just slide. And also some of the places we played in Philly, New Jersey, New York, and down south and stuff, those audiences, man, it was just, I mean, some of the heckling, man, I mean, it's one thing when you have a heckler, and in some of those places, it was like you had all hecklers and one regular audience member. Right? So it's like, good Lord. So, and I was telling another friend of mine this, is like, he goes, did you notice after working in Philly and learning how to do it in Philly, how easy every place else was? I went, yeah. It's like, I worked at clubs where it was.
Philly sounds tough.
And the funny thing about it is because I was raised there, it didn't seem like it was tough. It's like if if you were raised in a family of boxers, getting punched in the face is really not that big of a deal. Right?
Right.
But if you're not from a family of boxers, somebody punches you in the face, you go, "Hey, bro, what'd you do that for?" So when I went out to the world and did other shows, I was used to having like really high level boxers swing at me. So when I go some other place and some sucker swung at me, I'm going, "Really?" It's like you see the punch coming, you're eating a sandwich, drinking a soda, read the newspaper a little bit, update your phone apps. Okay, let me block this punch real quick. That's what it felt like when you got heckled in places that weren't Philadelphia, because you've seen how our sports fans act at the stadiums.
Yeah.
Okay, so just imagine I'm the Eagles on the stage. If everything's going well, yeah. If everything goes bad, you mother.
I remember hearing about the sports fans in Philly throwing batteries.
Oh no! See, no. See, Cleveland fans will throw batteries. Philadelphia fans will wait for you and beat you up personally.
Oh, really?
It's like, well, I throw a battery, I just wait till you come up here and beat your ass here. It's like, Philadelphia fans were like, you know, and the funny thing is that it's really kind of blown out of proportion, because they're really not that bad. Because if you actually look at the stadiums around the country in every NFL city, you have knuckleheads. It's just that, you know, people kind of latched onto that Santa Claus story from 50 years ago. They retell it incorrectly.
Santa Claus?
It was like there was supposed to be a Santa Claus. He didn't show up, and some drunk guy got on the field with a Santa Claus outfit. And people were like, "Who is this piece of crap?" And they started pelting this loser, right? And they make it sound like, "Oh, it's Philadelphia. They threw snowballs at Santa Claus." No, it was some drunk guy in a Santa outfit. And they were like, "Get this guy out of here." And the story took on a life of its own. And now 50 years later, this happened before I was born. I'm a 50-year-old man. And they're going, you know, they threw snowballs at Santa Claus. Could you do any research?
Well, I always remember the Eagles used to play in that Veterans Stadium. Was that what it's
Veterans
called?
Oh, now that stadium almost lived up to the damn reputation.
And the surface of it always looked like it was hard as a rock.
No, rock was not as hard as the turf at It was like,
remember a lot of injuries there because it looked like it was concrete.
It was like it was kind of like painted. It's like you took some cement and painted it. It was horrible, and the stadium was horrible. And it was a level. You know how they have the numeric seating charts. The section for the Rockheads was called the 700 level Veteran Stadium. And dude, you did not want to go there wearing a Dallas Cowboy outfit or a Giants outfit or a red. It's like going, hey, there's a bull over there. I'm gonna go and run in front of it and run around a lot. Hey, there's some pit bulls. I'm gonna my ass and jump in front of them.
Would they actually beat up a guy if he has a Dallas? Just because he's a Dallas fan?
Yeah, that is one of the. I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles fans. There's a 500,000 words in the English language. If you take all the words for hate and you squeeze them together and made a juice out of them, it still would not be strong enough to describe.
Oh, you can answer this for me. Mm-hmm. Why do people supposedly in Philadelphia call the Eagles the Eagles? Oh,
that's just the South Philadelphia accent. It's people from South Philly. It's like there's the Eagles, Iggles. That's just their accent in South Philly.
The Eagles.
Yeah, we talk about the Eagles, right?
Oh, really?
Hey, let me tell you something right now. We're gonna go downtown to South Philadelphia. We're gonna have a couple cheesesteaks. We're gonna go see the Eagles. Right? Have a couple beers. It's like most of my friends from South Philadelphia from back in the day sounded just like that. Hey, Steve, listen. We're gonna come see your show down there. Do the thing there, right? after the show, we're going to go to a couple of bars, right? And get a couple cheesesteaks. We're going to chase a couple chicks, see if we can get a diggy. And then, we go, and I'm sitting there going, I remember one guy goes, see, back then, you could be not PC. So, we would say stuff about each other that because this is being recorded, that I'm not going to repeat. But it was all in good fun. And I used to joke about, they would go, how the hell are you from Philadelphia? You ain't got a freaking accent. And I'm going,
yeah, you don't.
And I said, how are you from Philadelphia and you have 12 accents? And I have no idea why I don't. I just never did. I think it was probably because of, it's probably, I just never had any kind of accent, and I have absolutely no idea why. Because people people go, "You're from Philly?" And I go, yeah. And they go, "You don't sound like from Philly." And then I stab them, and then they're like, "Oh, okay, he's from Philly."
That's my accent.
He go,
my accent just stabbed you.
Yeah, my accent. Hey, I've got news for you. You don't think I'm Philadelphia? And then I beat the crap out of him and go, EAGLES, and then I run away from him.
Same thing with people from Boston. I've heard people who have thick accents, and then some who don't have any accent at all.
It is hilarious. It's hilarious. Bizarre. Sometimes it's because a person is a transplant from another area. But the thing is, I'm not a transplant. I was born down there. So
now, do people in Southern California have an accent?
Yeah, you do.
Are you serious? Really?
Yeah, you do. It's also it's not only an accent, but it's also like, you see how fast I'm talking right now? Uh-huh. For where I am, which is the northeast corridor of the United States, this is like 1/3 speed.
Really? Everybody talks really fast there.
Yeah, and the reason I'm talking the way I do now is because I lived in LA for the 90s, and I had to teach myself to slow down so people would understand me. Right. And I would have to, come on, man, bro, I can't understand you, bro.
Well, we're laid back here,
You know, bro. Yeah. That's why we have the weed, bro. I remember the first time I had a friend out there. His name was Woody, and he was the stereotypical Southern California guy.
Yeah,
blonde hair, blue eyes, surfboard. I'm like, dude, you live in Hollywood. Why are you carrying a surfboard? He was literally. I'm not even kidding. He was carrying a surfboard. I'm going, what the hell are you doing, man, bro? Got to catch these waves, but I'm like, what waves are you? It's Hollywood and La Brea, bro. What waves are you catching? He just
arrived and he didn't know where the beach was.
I'm like, what the hell? And then I found that he was waiting for somebody to take him somewhere. But at the time, I was literally going, this man, we're walking around having conversations. We're at McDonald's. We're just sitting there talking, and he's literally got a surfboard. And if he did that in New York or Philly or Jersey, people are like, the hell's this dude with a surfboard? California. Yeah. Whatever.
It's gotten worse. It's gotten worse because there's so many friggin' vegans here. And they're a pain in the ass to deal with, because I have a friend who just became vegan, and we used to go out and like to happy hours and have food, clams and mussels and shrimp and and beef. Now it's just a bunch of shit, and it's
I get a kick out of those dudes like, yo, ass man, listen, I can't go to the cheesesteak place with you, man. I have to have my diet water and my low-cal ice cubes and my grass sandwich. And I'm like,
so even in Philly, there's a certain segment of the population that's like vegan and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
There's a vegan restaurant 6 minutes from me, and I'm gonna go in there just to see what that crap tastes like. But the thing is,
crap.
My thing is, I'm trying to lose weight again. I'm fit, and I've lost a nice chunk, and And the thing is, I've changed what I ate, but I didn't obliterate meat. I didn't obliterate those things. I just ate less of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I had macaroni and cheese tonight, but it wasn't a whole lot of it. You know what I mean? So, and I have a couple of friends that are out in LA that are friends from here, and a couple of them lost a lot of weight and are in good shape and everything like that. And they're like, "Oh, good job, Steve." Yeah, blah, 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 blah. And they're the only people that still call me Steve, by the way, because I've known them for 30-something years.
Yeah.
And so it's like and they're straight up vegans, and I'm going, you've lost all the weight, bro. If I was where you were, I would still occasionally throw a little meat in my throat just because I like it. Yeah. But he's like, no, bro, I cannot have anything that has a mother and has a face, bro. Yeah. I cannot have any animal products one time. I will not even go see the movie Animal House because it has the word animal in it. It's like, come on, man. And that's what I'm talking about with those people.
Animals. I'll say it.
Yeah. I used to, what did I do to the guy? I told the guy, I said, listen, man, you don't stop annoying me about this vegan stuff. Let me get a couple of my boys. We're going to roll up on you and we're going to hold you down. We're going to pour some meat juice down your throat and make you eat it.
I didn't picture Philly having like any vegan stuff.
Yeah, well, there's a section of Philadelphia called Center City. It's not like Beverly Hills, but it's very well. I guess it's kind of close to, it's kind of touristy, but it's a little more upscale. And so you get the, dude bros down there. You get the vegan restaurants and the cupcake places. We just serve nothing but cupcakes, and we only serve them to the left-handed people.
There's yoga studios.
Yeah, and it's a great place to be. Santa Monica's the closest thing, the way I describe it to people that have never been here would be, Center City is Santa Monica if there was no water there. Right. If you took away the water and took away the pier, it's kind of like that. And so it's really a nice place. The people are really super nice to everybody, and it's a great place to be. But you got to have a lot of money to live there. You got to have a lot of money to live there. I mean, they want you there because they want the business. Everybody's nice to you, pleasant, cool. It's a fun place to be. It's hip. But if you want to live there, you better have some money, because if you don't, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, same thing with Santa Monica. Mm-hmm. Unless you have rent control.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So you better not get out of there, buddy.
No, I'm here. I'll die in this apartment. Yeah.
I think that's going to be the name of your Netflix special. Just have the set look like your apartment behind you when you do your act. By the way, if you do that and it becomes a big hit in a sitcom, I want to cut. Just want to let you know right now, we're recording this, and this is going to be heard in several countries. Just want to point that out. This is going to be heard in several countries. So if this becomes a big deal and you become a big star for this crap, I have it recorded and it will be on Saturday and people will hear it, and I want to cut. That's all I'm saying. Consider this my claim on the copyright.
Yeah. I do have a good place here. I love it here.
Yeah. Well, I stayed there. I remember.
I've been asking S to come back for years and years. Years and years.
Hey, man, look, the moment the restraining order lapses, I'm there, baby. Oh, man, we have come to the end of this episode, baby. We have come to... Did I not tell you this was going to be fun?
I actually had fun.
I told you were going to have fun, man. We always have fun when we rap on the phone and do this kind of thing. This is just the first time we recorded it, and people are going to actually hear this.
Yeah, I don't think they'll be bored. I think we were fascinating.
Well, of course. Yeah, man, this is good stuff. The hell is wrong with you? Okay. All right, folks.
All right,
I just want to say, everybody, this is my boy Chris Porter. Chris, have you got websites or anything you want to let everybody know about?
Yeah, I do shows at recovery houses throughout Southern California for stage time, and kind of because my brother was drug addict, and my dad was an alcoholic, and kind of give back.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a website called Recovery Through Laughter, and you can go on there and check me out, and I will, you will see my stuff, and I also do voiceover. And Steve, it was fantastic talking with you.
Well, thank you very much, good friend. Everybody, check out my boy Chris. This is the man.
Yeah.
The man. And now, after this show is over, I officially don't owe any money anymore.
I love this guy. Love this guy. And I miss him.
Miss you too, my brother. I will see you soon when I come out there. And folks, this episode is over.
Yeah.
This episode is over. And thank you for listening, you bastards all around the world.
Bye.
Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you for checking out the show. Much love to everybody. I appreciate you. Much love to you. And I will see you again next time.